Hi there, it's Sherry. It's just a few seconds before 2 my time, 1 yours in Ontario. So I'll just wait a few minutes to see if anybody will jump on. If not, I'm just gonna go for it. As explained over the summer, I won't be able to give you a definitive schedule, but on days where the weather is poor here, that I can't get out in my gardens and do things out there, then I'll pop on here. And today is one of those days. It is been pouring rain since early morning, yet again another Saturday. So nothing I can do about that though, but I can get creative. So that's what I'm doing on today. And this will be our July spread. So I have my little things out here. These are the prints that we pulled. This is our color palette for July. Lots of nice lime, chartreuse, violets, and a very dark kind of blue purple. So these colors make me very happy actually, which surprised me because I'm starting to really like purple. I never liked purple before, but I'm starting to really like it. So one of the stencils that I did one of my pulls from last week was a butterfly, just the, oh, not the outline, but just the inner sections. So I had some doodle fun this morning, and I doodled to make actual defined lines, and I fussy cut these butterflies out, and they are very cute. I think they need some sparkle, which we can add later, but I'm definitely going to be using those on my page. And because we use copy paper, they're just so light. Can't really have a whole lot of dimension in our journal book, just because of the nature of it, especially if you want to fill it up like I do. So, but these are cute. So over here is the rest of the pulls that I did that day. It was actually last weekend, I think. It wasn't all that long ago. I'm thinking we had a couple of weekends of rain. So we have this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we have lots to play with. I've already done my journaling and then put a layer of gesso over that, because the whole purpose of journal art is that you have an opportunity to, it's almost like a diary. You just have a diary of your thoughts and you just write them. They may not make sense. It's just words. You can make it large, you can make it small, whatever. And then you take your eraser after you're done and you erase parts of it, and then you gesso over the rest. So even though some words peek out, if someone wants to look at your book, your story is still protected and still sacred to you, because you really can't put any of the words together. Most times we end up covering the whole thing. So I think we're just going to dive right in. And I was thinking a little bit how I wanted to do this today, and as I've been doing, I went to my ephemera book and I pulled out some colors, some things that I want to use on this page, and it's organized according to collections, and there was a couple of collections that had the same kind of chartreusey greens and the purples. And then I thought, it's July, let's throw in one of the photo snaps. This is Tim Holtz photo snaps in there as well, so that will be fun. So I see we have 4 viewers on there, and I need to grab a Kleenex. You guys just chat amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Say hello so I know who's on today. Sorry about that, but I am back. So I think, what else did I grab? Because the butterflies, I think they need sparkles. I have some Nouveau Glimmer, and I also have this Sparks. It's you can get it in different tones, and I have a bunch of different colors. This is a green one that I thought might look good if we put a little bit of green shimmer somewhere, but we may not. Or I might just want to stick with the clear. We'll see where we go. And then I grabbed some Tim Holtz inks. So I have Wilted Violet, and these are all the oxides. I wanted to, because a lot of the pages are kind of muted, I wanted the oxide kind of feel to it. If you have just regular Distress, or if you have another brand of ink, feel free to use your stash. Chip Sapphire, I thought would be very good for that dark blue. Villainous Potion. So I picked this one for kind of the lighter, Villainous Potion for the darker, Chip Sapphire for this one, and then I just picked the one green, which is Twisted Citron, because I think this is bright enough that a little bit of that's going to go a long way. So for today, I think what I want to start with is just putting some ink down on my paper first. I don't know why, but I just feel like doing that today. So we do have some chartreuse in the butterfly wings. Made sure of that. And let's see what papers. Like, there's really not a lot of chartreuse. There's a little bit on this one. So let's put that ink down first. And I also grabbed out a few stencils. The same stencils that I used for the gel press pull. And I just have a piece of backing from packaging, actually. And going to grab my water. Just spritz a little bit of that on, and I'm just going to flop it over and just tap it. Just randomly. And that is very chartreuse. But oxide inks do dry. They kind of dry and they look chalky like. So I'm just going to break my little piece of plastic off here. And then we're going to give this a dry. So remember, the thing with art journaling and layering color is you have to dry it in between. And as you see it drying, it does fade quite a bit, but where these little pools are at, it's going to dry more intensely. I have a frog in my throat today. Feel fine. So we'll just have a little water to sip on. So what are you guys up to today? I don't know who's joined me. Unless I can't see comments. Or I could see them if you put them, but I don't see anybody wrote any comments, which is fine. If you're not in a chatty mood, it's okay as well. I don't expect to have people attend when I'm so impromptu with the class. If we lose it, oh hi Kelly, you're sitting outside, aren't you lucky? I'm telling you, it is like pouring. The plants that I have that's in the ground, love it. But all the plants I have in pots, which I have a lot, are struggling because we've had so much darn rain. But just now, we won't get any, and then I'll be complaining that we have to water so much. So I guess I have to take it. There's nothing I can do about it. And you don't need it like 100% dry, but just dry enough that your colors aren't going to blend too much together. So now I am going to take, I'm just looking at my papers because I want to pull in colors that I don't have a lot of. Maybe this dark blue. That will be a good contrast too. Well, it's dark blue purple, Chip Sapphire. It'll be a nice contrast with that green as well. we're just going to kind of do the same thing. We're going to tap her out. And I'm just randomly putting, because I'm not sure where my paper's going to go yet. That's the nice thing with journal art. You just do it. Just get out of your own head and don't worry about it, and then just apply it. Now I am going to put a little spray on this just to give it some movement. And that's another reason why we gesso. It protects your paper from, oh, I like it going down the spine like that. It protects your paper so that you can do these wet mediums. But you do have to dry it in between. You can't have it too wet. You can't have it soppy. Where are you at, Kelly? Are you in Ontario? If you're getting nice weather today, maybe we'll have nice weather tomorrow. It tends to flow that way anyway. It was beautiful here this week. We had a full week of really nice weather. I work in a building that has no windows, so it's hard. I go in the morning and I see what the weather is, and then I don't see it until I come out at somewhere between 5 and 6. I could take my break outside, I suppose, and I have done that sometimes, which it is good for me to do that. But I kind of forget that there's no outside because I'm so used to working where there's no windows. Now this one I want to get pretty dry because next I'm going to start layering some paper down. So I'm just picking up these extra puddles that we have. Now the ink may reactivate when I put my matte medium down to glue my pieces of paper down, but that's okay. So, which ones do I want to use? I do like this one, and I like this one the most. And we'll put in some, maybe we'll put in some, this one. And then I'll just keep the other two to the side for now. So because I like to kind of put little bits on both sides, I'm just going to tear the edges. You could leave the white on if you wanted to. The white border, but I'm just going to tear it off for today. Another time I might decide to leave it on. And then I'm just going to rip this right in two. And I'll put a piece down here. And I might keep them going in opposite directions. Now the other thing we could do is ink our edges to give it a little bit of oomph, but I think I'll leave it as is for now. And get my matte medium. So that's the glue that I use. That's what I currently have available to me. The Tim Holtz Collage Medium is another great one, and those two are the ones that I'm familiar with. But any kind of glue that will dry clear, and you want one that's fluid enough that you can paint it on, and you can also put it on top, because again, this helps protect this paper, so we'll be able to add color and mediums on top of the paper without risking the paper changing its colors. I'll put this one down. I think Heather's having an auction coming up this week, I want to say. I'll have to go on and make sure I pick the right time. I am such an early settler at night that often I fall asleep before it's over. But I get up early. Now that doesn't stand out a whole lot against those colors, because this is the Chip Sapphire, so I was trying to pull out this one because I knew these kind of ones were in the paper and in the chartreuse. So as we get going, and I think I'll leave the white border on some of this one this time. And I'm just randomly placing these. We really no rhyme or reason. Hope everybody had a good Canada Day. Ours was pretty low key. It was nice out. And just did the stuff that I love to do. Read a book outside and pulled some weeds, fertilized some gardens, that sort of stuff. Now once we're all done laying down the paper, we will give this a dry. I want to use the rest of this. So I'm going to take off the white border this time. And I might even put a little piece down here, a little piece up here, and I have one more piece left, which I'll just leave to the side for now. I find this very relaxing and forgiving an activity. And I know I've said it before, but my favorite part is the doodling afterwards, like doing those butterflies. I had a great time because I did just added the black for the outline and made some bodies for some, but then I went in with some pencil crayons and went over the different colors just to make them pop and be more vibrant. So I like that. So I'm going to use this one next. Kind of tones it down a little bit. It brings some neutral to it, which I'm liking. To be quite honest, I don't like how that background started out, but there's nothing here we can't fix or cover or make it something different. So I'm just going with it. Not every page will be my favorite, but that's okay too. Tuck this one down here on the bottom. And I think after we lay these pieces down, we'll give it a bit of a dry. That's the challenge with completing pages live, is yes, I'll dry it in between, but there comes a time where I just have to stop, and I usually do that when it comes down to fiddling with the fine detail, and I'll do that off camera because then I just leave my book open and I'll leave it dry for like 24 hours until it's really good and dry, and then all the fine detailing stuff tends to go on a bit better. I do like how this paper kind of toned those colors down in the background. So let me give this one a quick dry, or a little bit of a dry. And for those of you that are new, this is the Ranger Heat It Craft Tool. This is the one I use when I just want to dry something. I use a heat gun or an embossing gun if I want to emboss. The difference is this one's not near as hot. It's still pretty hot. You can emboss with this as well. It just takes a little bit more time. But for drying, it won't burn your paper like the embossing gun will. See, almost you can't see hardly any of my words anymore. But it's just that kind of activity that's just good for your mind, where you can just have verbal diarrhea on your paper and get it all out and leave it there. Now I really want these butterflies to pop when I do put them down, so I'm going to come in with more of this kind of muted tone paper. This is awesome. We're going to use pretty much all of our sheets, and that was one of the things that I had said when we were doing our gel print class this time, was that I wasn't going to do like overkill on how many sheets I was going to pull, because I want to be able to use them all. I don't really like having the extras kicking around because I have a lot of extras already, which are good. They're good for die cutting or just having something quick on hand. You just put them down wherever you're feeling they need to go down. Like I said, don't get too much inside your own head. This is just play. And if it happens that you're just, I can't stand it, I hate it, walk away from it and leave it. Just leave it on your craft table or wherever you're able to leave it. Somewhere safe, let it dry, and come back to it in 24 hours. And I bet you won't dislike it as much as you thought. When things naturally dry, they do take on a very different appearance. If I do that, I'm going to cover up all of that one. I'm just wondering what part. I'm kind of liking it here. I'm going to go for it. We have a steel roof and the rain. It's kind of soothing, but you can certainly hear it. I got some ideas that I think I'm going to do as I'm looking at this, because I want the butterflies to stand out, and a lot of that will come when I do the highlighting towards the end. But I think I want to draw some leaves, some just big leaves over this background. I was trying to get these little ripples out. There. So that's that. Maybe I'll put this piece down over here. Got some big bubbles. And I'm putting my glue quite thin as well, or as thin as I can make it. Okay, so I'm liking that. I'm going to put my brush in some water, and we're going to give this a dry. And I'm also going to, well, I'm just going to close it up for right now. You don't want air getting into your gels or anything you have open, because they will dry up pretty quickly. Oh, I see I'm out of camera. Sorry about that. There. Try to smooth out the wrinkles if you have any. But they'll dry, even if it dries with a wrinkle. To me, that's texture. So it doesn't bother me too much. I don't think we'll need to use this one. We'll see. And I still have a small piece of this left over too. It's funny how sometimes you just don't want to use it all. Like this is where I do my detailing, so I'll probably bring out the Tim Holtz crayons and just use the natural grain of the paper that was laid down to do some detailing around that and really outline it. But I feel like I want to put some gesso down today, so some white to kind of help tone down the background a little bit. We'll do that next. So I have my modeling paste, and I'm just going to use the white. And this is Tri Art. I've had this for a long time as well. So my trick, whenever you open jugs, baby wipe that's damp, and this is still damp, and a piece of saran wrap, and you want to push the saran wrap down where it's touching, just touching your medium, so that there's not large air pocket, and then you put your baby wipe on top of the cellophane, and that helps really well with getting some long use. These jars, I've said it before, if I have my choice of purchasing small jars of mediums versus large, that's what I'll do, because I really don't want large mediums. Now I do want to put leaves down. Do I want to put the gesso on before I draw my leaves or after? Before. I'm going to use this stencil, and I used this stencil I think during our session. And I'm not going to do like the whole page. I'm just going to do bits, little pockets of it here and there. And you can use whatever stencils you have. This one here is a Vicki Boutin one. I have loads of stencils in my stash. That's one of the things. It's cheap. Stencils are generally cheap, and I love them. And I just buy lots. Maybe 1, 2, 3. So if I do, I have to kind of do in fives. I have this thing where it has to be odd. I like the set of 3 there, but I also feel like I need something, but maybe this will be where the leaves go. maybe just a tiny bit in 2 more spots. One there, and we'll do one here just at the top of the page. There. Now I'm going to run this out to the sink. That's the thing with modeling paste. You want to protect your stencil and get it in water right away. If not, you're risking not being able to keep the integrity of the stencil, because you'll have to scrub so hard to get it off. You'll probably damage the little fine lines of your stencil. I like this little brush. It's silicone, and I think I have them in a couple sizes. They're Nuvo, and the smaller size. They're really flexible, so they're great for stencils. So I just push that down, put my baby white back on top, and then we'll close the lid to that. I do prefer to let mediums like this dry naturally, but I will do a little bit of heat, and then I'll see if I can work around what might not be really dry. Now I do protect pages that I've done before, these ones, with just a piece of copy paper, and the same as this one. And it's not that it's going to bleed through, it won't bleed through, but it might get messy if the edges of stuff run over. Oh, I just thought of something. I can add some sparkle before we get too much. I just feel like a little sparkle today, and I'm not sure if I want like that paste. But this is a Tim Holtz duster, glitter duster. And if you just, you might not be able to see anything, but I can tell you glitter's coming out, and it will stick to this modeling paste while it's wet. Some of it will come off because I'm not going to press it in or anything. And your glitter has to be really fine. This is the Ranger glitter as well. Like the chunky glitter won't work in this. It has to be really fine. And yes, you could kind of sprinkle it on with your hands. But I'm telling you, Tim Holtz could come out with a new form of spaghetti and I'd buy it. I'm definitely a follower. I've been following him since he made his first 6 brown ink pads. When I look up in my camera up on the screen, it's funny, this little piece right here, to me it looks like a face. Like there's the lips, the nose, an eye, and we could totally do that. Why don't we do that? Like, to me this really looks like a face, and this could be kind of like her hair. I don't know if you guys think I'm crazy, but to me this looks like a face. So I'm just going to go with it. So I just have a pencil for now. Now this is still wet, but I am going to just doodle. Oh, I'm going to get my better pencils. I do have some nice graphite ones. Every now and again, I spend the money for the quality of the product. So Derwent, it's the coloring pencils that I have that I just love. And then these are just a set of graphite ones, different lead sizes. So to someone who really draws, I'm sure this would mean something to them. For me, I just want a nice lead pencil. Oh, I have to put on my glasses for this. I like doing faces in art. This wouldn't be the first time that I've kind of seen a face in something that we were doing, and I just outlined it as I see it in my head. And what I'll probably do after is just redraw these lines using one of my Derwent colored pencils. And the Derwent ones that I have are water soluble, so they react to water, so it's almost like a watercolor. But for now, just so you guys can see what I'm thinking. See, my book isn't right dry, so it's hard to do it. But this is going to be the eye. And I don't know if you can see those markings. This is going to be her nose. I don't want to put my hand in here, so I'm not drawing very straight. But when you see it done, you'll understand where my mind was going. And these are going to be lips. So I will draw that out better with crayons, but I hope you can see kind of where I'm going with that. Like, to me, that just looked like a face. And I think it will be pretty cool to see kind of a face peeking out from underneath the paper. Well, that wasn't expected, but there it is. But I do want to draw some leaves. And don't think that you can't draw. And if you want more organic looking leaves, branches, flowers, whatever it is you're going to do, use your less dominant hand to draw them. I know that sounds crazy, but if you use your less dominant hand, they're definitely not going to be anywhere near perfection. So therefore, it's going to look like that was the way you meant it to be. If you draw it with your dominant hand and almost all your lines are straight or however you want them, except for a few, then that's going to look like a mistake. So this is very light. Again, I'm just kind of tracing, and I'm using my non-dominant hand, just going for it, because anything can be covered up. So don't be afraid. And this is just going to be a big leaf or a big stem with 3 leaves. And then I'm going to come down. I'm going to turn my book around. Oh, see? I put my finger in it. I'm trying to let it air dry. And I might have to give it a whack. Let me give it a whack with the dryer to dry it a little bit. I never know where these adventures are going to lead us. I'm still doing the butterflies. And actually, the butterflies may become part of her hair. We shall see. No 2 pages will ever be the same. I'm going to do another leaf here, and I think I'll come like a large one this one time, right down over here, and then we'll do another one up in this corner. And You may not be able to see them because I'm just using a lead pencil and just very lightly doing the design. I'm going to come in later with my Derwent watercolor pencils and make them darker. So I'm just going to turn this upside down. You should always turn your projects and not try to make your hand or arm do something funky. And use your less dominant hand. So there's my face. I'm just listening to the rain hitting the roof. I'm really not complaining. I don't mind a rainy day. Rainy days kind of make me just sit, and it's almost like permission to do things that's not chores. I can't wait for you guys to jump on and watch this and let me know your thoughts. I know everybody's busy today. It's the summer. I totally get it, and that's why I'm having these impromptu moments. I think I want to put, oh, see, I almost went to my dominant hand. I want to do a little one here at the very end. There's an artist that I watch. Her name is Lily Mill. And I love her style. It's very free-flowing. And she's the one that I watched that kind of taught this type of art, where you just kind of let it take shape. And surprisingly, the more you do, the kind of better you get at it. And it looks better than my dominant hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe I'll wait until I darken it, but maybe another one down here. 1, 2, 3. So love odd numbers. So now we have a leaf, a vine with some leaves, a vine with some leaves, another vine with some leaves. And when I color these leaves, and they'll be more solid as well, so that will also tone down. Now if I find the background is still too busy after I do that, you can always go in with a light layer of gesso and just tone it down. But I think I'm going to like this. So what do we have left? I brought out another stencil, as I thought we would also do some ink blending on top, but I'm not going to do that for now because this needs to dry. So when it's all said and done, these are the pieces that I pulled from my book. And this is the saying that I'm going to put on, embrace simplicity. So that's going to be the title of this page. I'm just laying down where I think things might go. Not being really sure until it's all said and done. But I have to outline my leaves, and then I have to outline the sheets of paper, and of course the face, and then we have to add our butterflies. But I'm just looking at this. And I love layering things. I won't pop these up because I don't want that big thick part in my book, but sometimes I just float them on the page where I just put a little bit of adhesive so the ends stick up, and that gives it some dimension just by doing that. And then I will have perhaps this down here. Embrace simplicity. Maybe a heart up here, something like that. And I imagine for the butterflies, I'm going to use the small ones for definitely some hair. We've got some big ones here too. So I'll have some, I don't have a whole lot of small ones. I only have a couple. But then we have medium-sized ones. Maybe we'll have her hair flowing this way. I don't know, I'll have to work with this. I also took out some thread, so I might just do some thread for her hair. Art journaling is so much fun. You can really just do whatever it is that you like. I'm just kind of laying them down at the moment to think of where, and I'll snap a picture. We have like 3 more butterflies here, so we can either do like a little group of 3. I don't have to use them all neither. This part here is a little bit too busy for me, so I might tone that down with a little bit of gesso. Let's do that now before I get offline. Oh, I'm going to take a picture though, because I like how this grouping looks. And that's my trick. Lots of people do it. You just kind of lay them down, you take a picture so you don't forget what you were doing. But I do want to fade out some of that because I don't feel like my butterflies are popping as much as I want them to pop. So we're going to tone this down with a little bit of gesso. And I'm not going to use the thick gesso for that. I'm just going to use, it's kind of light. It's, well, there's really heavy gesso that you can almost use as modeling paste. And that's what I usually do on top of my journaling, because if I don't, I find I have to put too many layers of this one. But this is a thinner one, which is great if you're just looking to tone down something. So I'm going to grab a sponge. That will be my vehicle of choice, because I do just want to sponge it on. And these are just dollar store makeup sponges. The other thing you can use is a brayer. Let me grab a little brayer as well. And for this, we do need a piece of scrap paper, or where's, oh, this will work. So it's just a piece of acetate or packaging, and I'm just going to put it down over here with a little bit of gesso. I'm just using my mini roller. And I don't want to do her face, but like here where I thought it was just too much, I'm just going to roll some gesso. Now when this dries, because it's the light stuff, I'll still get some of the background showing through. And sometimes, well, a lot of the times, I will do something really nice and decorative along the edge, usually just freehand with one of our color choices. I'll wait and see at the end which one I want to really outline. It's usually a dark one, and sometimes it's even black. Now, I am covering up some of my doodling, but that's okay. And if I want a little more, I can go in with my sponge. Just putting a couple more drops down and just sponge it on. And that adds texture as well. But I'm trying hard to create some white space on my paper. Oh, hi Erin. How are you? These impromptu videos, right? See my face? When I was laying this down and I happened to look up into the on the computer screen, I said, oh my gosh, this looks like a face. So I'm totally going to outline it and make it into a lady's face. Kind of looking like she's peeking out from behind the vines and everything else that's going to be going on. So I'm just muting the color, putting it in the background. You love it? You're very kind. Not everything I do I love, and I'm not afraid to say it, but it stays as part of my book because it's just a reminder, right? I'm just going to tone down. I'll leave the vibrancy above her head. I'm just going to tone down that a little bit. And this is a good way too to kind of blend your edges. So like if you don't want to look like your paper has edges, if you use a little bit of paint or gesso and just kind of go over it, it does seem to work. Now I can continue to add layers and make it really white. I do feel like I want it more white here. So I'm just going to keep pouncing it until it's to a space or to a place that I like it. So these are our colors, Erin, for this month. Chartreuse, purple, and this, it's kind of dark blue purple. And we started off by just putting on some ink on the page of chartreuse and that dark blue purple. But we're soon going to have to come to the point of stepping away and letting it have a good dry on its own. And we can always splatter more of that color up on top once the main features of the page are done. I'm not too worried about the edges because like I said, I know I'm going to paint those up with something. Now this light gesso that I'm using, I also like it versus the thick stuff because you can layer. You can put a little bit on and then decide if you want more, whereas that thick stuff, once it goes on, it's pretty thick. What are you up to today, Erin? I hear it's nice in Ontario today. It's pouring down rain here. And I'm just picking different sections of my project to kind of highlight some brightness or white space. Look, you know, I'll have one down here, one through here, and then one up over here, kind of up over this person's face. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but I'm going with it. I'm just working with it. Working with what I see. We all see things differently. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is dry this now, the gesso, before I add any more to it. Because as things dry, it lightens up as well. But you can always add more ink on top. So I can go back with my oxide inks and do splatters, or like I already know this stencil, this circle, and the crevices of the circle, I'm going to choose these colors of my Derwent water pencils and really bring out those colors. And that's the part that I love. You're making some cards. Oh, bought the indigo blue art line flower stamp and playing with it. Good for you. Share what you make. I love seeing what you guys are doing. I now have a bin just for my All in Create, and with that right now is Elizabeth Craft, but I don't have a lot of the Elizabeth Craft. I have mostly some of her background stuff, but her stuff is pretty similar to Tim Holtz with the background stamps and stuff, and I have a lot of his. So I probably won't be collecting too many more hers. I say that, but then she comes out with something fabulous that I feel like I have to have. And then there it goes in the bucket. But All in Create, I'm loving. And I'm starting this new thing of mine. Because I have this thing where once I'm done creating with a stamp, unless it's a background stamp that I'm going to use over and over, but if it's one that like I color, it's an image that I color in, I find I never go back. I'll make a bunch of cards, so like I'll stamp out a bunch, and then sit and color, and then create cards, and then I don't want to use them ever again. So I am starting to sell some of my gently used products on my Facebook page. There's an album on it. And it's like, could be stamps or it could be some dies. So, but anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing. And then that money that I get, I buy new stuff. Because I'm always wanting the new. Like, I'm always wanting to try the new. And I'm so bad. I have new stuff stockpiled that I don't put away. It's, you know, I'm one of these people that have to label everything and put it in a sleeve and put it in its place, but I still label it and put it in its sleeve, but I leave it out on my counter if it's new, so that I'm more inclined to use it instead of just buying it and putting it up in its place and never looking at it again. Okay, I like how this is blending up so I don't forget what I made. You always keep one sample. That's a good idea. See, I usually share what I'm making on my blog or my Facebook page. So to me, that's my record. But if those pictures ever went away, I wouldn't have a record. So good for you for saving one. That's a really good... You know what I used to do? And maybe when we're done our journaling for the year, because I committed to a year, so definitely going to see that through. I'm loving it. But maybe we'll go to a form, because I have one of those wheels, I have one of those Huddy Swap like recipe wheels or whatever you call them. And maybe we'll start creating a card, but also a sample to put on your wheel as a safekeeping for what you used it for. I did that for a little while, just like a few here and there, and I have them on my wheel. And I thought, what a neat idea, and then I kind of forget about doing it. But maybe that will be our next thing. And it's not that I'm not going to do art journaling again after the year. I definitely will. But I may decide to move on to something like that's dedicated for a year, and then just do an art journal project every now and again. So Erin, I don't know if you can see them, but I say we, but I hand drew some stems with leaves. There's a grouping here, there's one here, and there's one over here that I will do with darker colors to really draw them out. And we talked about how you use your non-dominant hand to practice drawing freehand. And you'll have to go back and rewatch it as to my discussion on that. I'm going to give this one more dry. Modeling paste is almost dry. I like these white spaces. I like what the gesso is doing. And I don't think I'm going to go any lighter than that. I can still see some of the pattern through it, and it's really going to pale in comparison once I start filling in the color around the circles and around the pieces of paper. I'll show you what I mean, because I will have to let this air dry for a bit. But that was last month. So you see where I take a water soluble, you can use Tim Holtz art crayons, there's art pencils, any other watercolor. You can use just ink and a brush if you want, and even in the circles. So to really pop those colors, I just kind of trace and then add a little bit of water. I always like going back and seeing what we've done the months before. Oh, that one was a fun one. So like in here, I went right along the edge of the paper with the red. I am now the proud owner of 5 Tim Holtz. What? Good for you, Erin. I love them. Yeah, I really do. I really love them. And they're really fun. Especially for, like, you know, when I want to watercolor an image. Love them. So where was I going with this? Just showing how I go around the edges. So here's a good example. I did all black around these edges just to pop it out. And like, that's what I mean by doing something fun on the true edge of the border. Like this one, I did that orangey color. This is parchment paper, because when you close your album, even though it's dry, it still tends to stick together, because a lot of what I have on here is water soluble products, so if we get any kind of humidity, but this prevents it from sticking too hard. And that one was fun. That was February. So you see here, I went in between this stencil with a coloring pencil just to make it darker. That's what I'll be doing on the other one. You like that page? I kind of like them all, really. That was January, so that's how we started. And that's using Tim Holtz products. Yep, whatever works. So these have been really fun. So this is July's that we're on. And I'm going to leave it at there for now and let it have a good dry, clean up my papers or my paintbrushes and stuff. And then I will finish it and show you its final reveal when it's all done. So my plans are to color in the crevices of this stencil with these colors. I will use probably a pencil, a water soluble pencil, and really bring out the leaves, like retrace those and maybe paint inside them. So I have a set here, set coming down here, one here. I'll glue on my ephemera that I showed you in Erin. These are the little butterflies from our print class. I had a butterfly stencil. So I went in and doodled the bodies of them because the stencil just gave the solid shapes and didn't do like a outline. So I created outlines and colored them in a little bit darker with the colors that we're using. So I have some butterflies to put on there. And then some pieces of ephemera from my ephemera book. If you guys don't know what the ephemera book is, go back a few videos and you'll see it was just an idea. I watched it somewhere, probably on Instagram, on a reel of a crafter who did this kind of thing where she had an empty folio, a black folio, and Diane Revley actually has one, so I purchased it and kind of lightly tacked all my ephemera into it. So now I just flip through the book whenever I'm doing a project and I just pull out pieces, and I find it so easy, and all my ephemera is in one place, so I'm loving it. So yeah, we'll do the leaves, and then as I was looking at this just popped out to me as a face. So there's her lips, her nose, her eye. So I traced out kind of the roundness of her face, and I'll finish that off and either do some of the butterflies as the hair, or I do have some thread pulled. I want to do something with the thread. So anyway, we will see where this takes us. But yeah, the reveal is always fun. And I wasn't loving it at first. Now I'm starting to really like it. So that will be it for today. You guys enjoy your sunshine. I'm a little bit jealous, but I'm enjoying hearing the rain beat off the tin roof. And we'll chat real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.